We may have found an embarrassment of riches in Dan Trachtenberg's 2022 action thriller prequel, Prey. This movie excelled on every level, from technical aspects and choreography to actor performances and direction. It was an experience as much as a film. Visual storytelling played a major role, as did clever dialogue. And what we got was a grounded sci-fi thriller that shouted girl power from the mountaintops. The timestamps for every sequence can be found in the comment section for your viewing pleasure. Now, let's begin. We start as always with a focus on our protagonist, specifically their personality, their inner conflict, and their situation. Naru is a Comanche woman, and thus a gatherer, who's an absolute beast with a tomahawk, but not so much at catching timid game. Yet she is clever enough to figure out unknown technology, and she's a natural healer, a Jane of many trades. Next, we examine where, why, and how our protagonist exists in their world, with a focus on why they don't quite fit in. Taabe openly doubts that Naru is ready for the hunter rite of passage, who lives within a small Comanche tribe before colonization, and struggles between hunter and gatherer instincts. Then a brief event happens, one that's never happened before. It's destined to lead all the characters away from their status quo. She corrects her mother on how to be a healer, showing us that she's now an equal among the tribe. Which leads us to examine the effect of that something new to the status quo, specifically what's different now and what remains the same. Naru actively resists the gender role that everyone conforms to, while a predator arrives on Earth. She plays the gatherer role as is expected, yet the promise of a great hunt calls. We move along to the discovery that things are less than ideal, or else we explore how badly things are. Both scenarios are common. The predator can be heard chattering nearby, while the others mock the idea of a female hunter. The predator establishes itself in the proverbial food chain, and Naru finds the missing and gravely injured tribesman. Next, our characters dedicate their effort to a specified goal, and this is always narrower in scope than what the third act will demand. They use 18th century technology to achieve their goals, and no one believes Naru that something terrifying stalks the land, as she gathers more evidence of the unknown animal's habits. Then we run through a brief checklist of the main story elements that we can expect during this journey. Naru being constantly underestimated, Taabe's advice, influence, and wisdom, growing knowledge of the predator, and of course, hunting in the pre-industrialized wilderness. Which brings us to the brief events that launches our characters into the wild jungle of the second act. It's also called the oh shit moment. Taabe charges Naru with her hunter rite of passage, encouraging her to dive into that role. Oh shit. We follow our characters as they discover the new rules and expectations of their journey. These are always distinct to the narrative at play. Paka provides the words of doubt that will haunt her and challenge her. Then Naru faces an apex predator for the first time. She feels the sting of defeat and failure despite her great success with healing the tribesman's wound. Next, our characters showcase their ability to grow and progress, and this is typically an external or physical beat rather than internal or emotional. Taabe brings back the head of the lion, securing the tribe, and Naru commits herself to tracking her unknown animal, despite her recent injury and sting of failure. Then our characters face legitimate and understandable reasons to deviate from their stated convictions, agendas, or desires. Naru struggles to return to life as normal and marches against expectations to carry on the hunt. She finds evidence that the unknown animal is very large, while the predator itself ramps up the difficulty of his own hunt. We endure the anxiety as our characters face an escalation of problems and complications. Naru struggles with the commotion caused by retrieving the tomahawk, and fashions a barely tested tether to solve the issue. She ventures even further from the safety of her tribe, then catches the attention of the predator, and stumbles on a field of bison massacred by fur traders. Next, our characters evolve internally or emotionally, and they do this by using elements of the plot or story which they've gathered and learned so far. Naru discovers the presence of humans, not her unknown animal, while the predator tracks her across the landscape. Then her barely tested tether proves invaluable to saving her life in an unexpected way. Then our journey-weary characters come to terms with their ongoing struggles. Moments and elements of the first act are used to gauge their progress. Naru tries her hand at another apex predator, like the Act 1 lion hunt. Then she's rescued by the predator, whose Act 1 hunt has escalated to brawling with a bear, which results in a brief event that strikes at our protagonist's core conflict. She finally lays eyes upon the unknown animal that she's been tracking, proof that she was right all along, and there's no turning back from here. We receive needed answers alongside our characters, which relate to both their external journeys and their internal conflicts. No one believes Naru that the predator is real unless they see it for themselves, and she's hunting something that's hunting her, even in this moment. Next, our characters complete their narrow scope objective, yet discover that their victory is shallow or altogether meaningless, and must complete a wider scope objective. The hunters open fire and reveal the predator, but that really doesn't make it any easier to deal with. Naru gets a front row look at its abilities, but she's ill-equipped at the moment to fight it. Then our characters face an existential conflict that wounds their sense of self and identity or their physical journey. The predator chases her across an open field. Then a game trap leaves Naru defenseless at its feet, but a pack of fur traders interrupt the kill. We celebrate with our protagonist in light of an undeniable win, which is always related to the rebirth in some way. Naru survives yet another encounter with an apex predator, even though it lands her in a cage this time. The fur traders know about the unknown animal too, confirming everything. And even though they torture Taabe, she is reunited with her brother yet again. Next, our characters suffer a grand loss. This is always connected to their newfound inability to quit their journey. The siblings find themselves tied up as bait for the predator, who arrives on the scene, ready to start murking some French guys. Then Naru realizes that it never considered her a threat, just a helpless creature. Then we experience a thematic freefall, as the main story elements are ramped up and thrown into upheaval. The predator rampages through the fur traders, showcasing its technology and strength, while Naru combines the brutality of nature with modern technology to her advantage, which forces us into a brief event that robs our protagonist of seemingly any hope of success. The predator lays waste to everyone, stacking the odds impossibly against Naru. We watch our characters realize that they cannot return to their first act selves, and they turn to face the wider scope objective. Naru murks the French guys at camp with the same ferocity as the predator, becoming the hunter. The predator patches up for more while she embraces technology from beyond her culture. Then the predator arrives at camp. Next, our characters use the major swings of the story and their personal journeys to move towards the climax. Naru continues to piece together its abilities and weaknesses. Then she and Taabe work in tandem again. She learns and adapts to her resources on the fly, yet the predator still does not see her as a threat. Then the final confrontation plays out between our protagonist and characters against the antagonistic force. Naru baits the fur trader as a threat, luring the predator in, then steals the alien tech for her own use. She adopts everything she's learned about being an apex predator, and uses everything she's learned about the predator to brawl like a beast, which culminates in a brief moment where our protagonist finally, and oftentimes metaphorically, overcomes their place in the Act 1 status quo. Naru combines her knowledge of her prey, of her surroundings and the help of her good boy sidekick to draw the predator into its death box. We experience the direct aftermath of the climax. This can give our characters a moment to reflect on the situation, or else wind down the action with Dakota. The predator is ultimately defeated by its own tech. Then the underestimated apex predator herself celebrates her rite of passage. Next, we touch base with additional characters, typically to contrast them against the new status quo. Naru's mother welcomes her little hunter home as the entire tribe gathers in amazement, and she warns of danger approaching and to move everyone to safer ground. Then we conclude with a tight focus on our protagonist, specifically to contrast them against how we met them at the opening. Naru is celebrated as a war chief and is admired as a role model to the younger girls. And there you have it. Dan Trachtenberg's 2022 action thriller prequel, Prey, adheres perfectly to the 29-point story structure every step of the way, and it underscores the importance of unspoken visual elements to a character's journey. Now, let's move on from a Comanche girl stepping into a hazardous career to an orphan girl stepping into a hazardous career, with my deep dive into cinema's most iconic unlikely duo. Join me next time for Luc Besson's classic action shoot-'em-up, Leon the Professional. As always, thank you so much for your time. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this content, and consider commenting on and sharing this video to help the channel find its audience. Take care of yourselves out there, and I'll talk at you next time.